Okay. Mike, streets, lights, property, and trees.
Before getting to the item which is actually listed on the agenda, I wanted to ask you to consider the job estimate that you received tonight. This is from HEP Electric. It has two basic categories of some small electrical work. The first being the installation of some general purpose receptacle outlets on the upper wall area at the entrance to the office in the borough for a security monitor, and a second one on the lower corner wall of the officer for the security monitor. We have authorized the work to begin according to the contract that was awarded, but in so doing it turns out that these particular outlets really are needed. So what I'm asking tonight is at the least that work be authorized to proceed and not wait until the next work session. There is a third item, which is 3 programmable heat-cool thermostats in the garage, the office, and the meeting room. That's not, critical for action tonight. It could be done as well, but if there's a further question on that, then we could certainly defer that until next month. But I would ask for consideration for the first 2 items, which would have a total expenditure of $250, the work to be done by HEP Electric.
What would be the additional cost for the thermostats at the same time?
I'm sorry, I thought everybody had this. The additional...
no.
Pat put that in your box. Nobody else had it.
Yeah. No wonder you're looking at me. The 3 thermostats are $118 each for $354. The total, if you were so inclined, would be $604 for the work on this estimate.
Did you make a motion?
No, I'm asking for a motion, but I will make that motion to accept the proposal of HEP Electric, Inc., dated February 20th, 2010, for the installation of 2 general-purpose receptacle outlets for $250, $125 each, and 3 programmable heat-cool thermostats for an additional $354 for a total of $604.
Is there a second?
Second.
And then because of the small cost here, I don't think we need any more, we don't need any more quotes for this now. Yeah. Okay. Is the recommendation for the programmable thermostats was made by the EAC a couple of years ago, and will be very helpful for those when there are meetings in the front part of Borough Hall, because no one really knows how to turn the thermostat up or down, and will allow for more efficient energy usage throughout the building. Are there any other comments regarding this motion? Does anyone in the audience wish to be heard? Okay. If not, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The other items on here, I'm just going to touch on very briefly because of the hour. Fencing, as the mayor has just said, is something which is being looked at actively. It may at some point in the near future also require the borough engineer to be authorized to look at a survey to determine the exact boundary for the borough's ownership of the park, and thus be able to advise a little better in terms of siting it. So I'm going to suggest we defer the fencing to when we have some more information to talk about, perhaps at a work session, no less action at one of these meetings, and mention that I have an estimate also from HEP Electric, who has done historic work for the, historically done work, not historic work, for the borough in the past, and has looked at specifically several things. Number one, the installation of lighting which would light the park up, and has looked at a couple possibilities, but is recommending a sodium lamp as giving the best light, and suggesting that be positioned on the newly constructed shed at the peak to be facing towards CVS. And his suggestion is that this would give the broadest and best light, and further that it be put in a timer as opposed to a photocell, motion detector. This for reason that the motion detector does have about a minute that would be required to energize the light. and a minute at night when we're trying to illuminate something is perhaps too late. So the suggestion by George Hepp is that we consider a sodium light, which would give a good light. This is kind of the amber light that we've seen around town, if anyone's familiar with that. And again, put it on the peak of the shed, and also put a smaller sodium light on the rear of the shed facing down. That's an obscured view, and this would be something while it's facing housing. The sodium light would be smaller, downward located, and would serve to illuminate that. If the police wanted to even look from the roadway, they'd be able to see that area, at least during the winter and fall and early spring. Aside from that, he's also suggesting a replacement of the light fixture for the flagpole and it to be put above ground as opposed to within the ground as it is right now, because it's taking quite a toll on the apparatus that actually illuminates it. It is a flag that flies 24 hours a day, and therefore, by custom and requirement, it is required to be illuminated. Otherwise, it must be taken down at dusk and put up at daylight the next morning. So these are proposals which are in this estimate. You do not have it. I just got it about 6:30 tonight. I will have copies made for you, and it may be something that we want to give circulation to the Parks and Rec, certainly to the chief. And if everybody salutes it, then we'd be ready to consider it at work session and act on it next month.
Like that, isn't that one light at Veterans Plaza?
I'm sorry?
Isn't the light at Veterans Plaza for?
Yes, I'm sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so it's not running to the Linton Hill Park flag?
Linton Park.
Different, okay.
And then
Oh,
the other-
no, I'm sorry, there are two lights.
Yeah.
One is Linton Park, and
yeah,
he's
you did
suggesting...
shift gears and go into.
I did,
Yeah.
and there's a second light, which is what you're referring to, which is next to Borough Hall, and that's a light that's in need of some work as well. That's a relatively minor thing. Frankly, I didn't want to even bring it up tonight. It's minor.
The lights on the shed, are they going to be tamper-proof?
Yes.
So that they can-
again,
the
without-
sodiums can't be broken? 'Cause they're
No,
expensive
sodiums
bulbs.
can be broken. We
I
talked
know
about
they can be, but
that.
if you can shield them from the crowds.
Correct. And what he's suggesting, again, we're getting into a different level of detail, but basically a heavy screen which would be in front of it, and without getting statistical, would probably stop most things, short of somebody getting up and hitting it with a hammer. But it would be protected so as to give that kind of assurance of going on, we hope.
Because from experience, the sodium bulbs are $15 a piece.
Correct.
Mike, while you're at it, the flag at the new little plaza at Linton Park is not illuminated, but that is up all the time.
Well, that's my point, and that's
Yeah.
why, and I'm mixing the two lamps,
Yeah.
but if we're going to have a flag at Linton Park, it must be illuminated.
Yeah.
So part of this you'll be seeing is a proposal I asked him to put together to essentially put a spotlight fixture that would have a photo control, and
Yeah.
that would go automatically on at nighttime. The alternative, as I say, is to take that flag down every night, but as it is right now, it's really not correct.
Yeah.
So I know that the rec board has gotten 2 quotes
Good.
to look
Okay.
at things like that. So maybe one of the things that would be beneficial is if we're doing the lighting at the shed, is to finally have an ability to plug in there for movies in the park.
Well, that's exactly, again, we're getting into level of detail. One of the things that's involved in this estimate when you see it is running service from the pole, which is immediately next to the children's playground. That would be trenched, run over to the shed, run up into the shed. PICO would put a box in the shed, not outside, but in the shed. That would be remotely metered, and to the point about movies in the park, they would open the door, plug it into the outlet inside, run the cord out, and then we've got service there for anything else we want to use it for as well. So that's a good question, John. And the Parks and Rec can take a look at this, see what they think as well.
Just for consideration, I don't believe we have a budget for this.
I'm sorry?
We do not have a budget for this, but just so everyone's aware of it.
It is work that's been talked about for a while, and it's, yeah,
There's no line item in the budget.
we'll have to find one.
Just pointing it out.
Anything else, Mike?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Oh,